Hey guys, how you doing? Wake up Wednesday. Proper prior planning prevents poor production. What? Proper prior planning prevents poor production. Those are the seven P's. If you worked with me, you know I use these a lot. And you're saying right now, Mark, that's only six P's. What's the seventh P? Reach out to me privately. I'll tell you the seventh P. This is something I adopted from my friends in the UK, some of them that were former military. And I absolutely love it when I think about end of year planning. So, welcome to the end of the year. Congratulations. As we move into the fourth quarter, it's very important we do two major things. The first thing is if you're more extroverted, if you're more of a people person, you want to celebrate your accomplishments. So you want a list of all of your accomplishments, you want to socialize them, and you want to celebrate them. And the next thing for the second piece for Q4 planning for the end of the year, so you hit the ground running the first business day of January for 2024, is your planning for next year. So if you're more introverted like me and you're more of a list person, a plan person, I actually get very excited. I love planning. I love looking at a plan, seeing a good plan together. So those are the two things you want to do as we move into the fourth quarter, and you have plenty of time to do it in Q4. So you hit the ground running the first business day of January. So those two things are make an accomplishment and celebrate all of the things your team or your organization has done year to date. And number two, plan for the future for everything you're going to deliver starting January 1st for next year. So when we talk about celebrating all the accomplishments that we've done year to date, if you haven't already kept a log of this or managed this in some software tool or a document or a presentation, which would be ideal because then you could go through those different pieces of information and just consolidate it and curate it. Start very simply with a list. So get all your key stakeholders together, all your important folks, and just start with a very important top 10 list of all the accomplishments you've done year to date. And then you want to expand on that list so that you don't miss anything. And then you want to prioritize and sort that list based on the most important or what was perceived to be the most important, all the way down to everything that you guys are proud of. And you want to celebrate that. There's so many ways you can celebrate. I've done end of year holiday parties, offsites, appreciation days, appreciation weeks, um, ice cream, bringing folks out to dinner, bringing them out to lunch, escape the rooms, doing a beach day. There's so many ways you can celebrate your accomplishments. The most important thing on celebrating your accomplishments is that you have what I would call your inner circle, sometimes referred to as a product cabinet, or a new way of thinking, sometimes, or old school way of thinking, I should say, sometimes referred to as your old school executive steer co. And these are the key stakeholders for you. The smaller you can keep the group, the better, where you're just giving them your attention and time. And you're just really thanking them for all the hard work that they've done or all the contributions they've allocated toward your project or your program or your team, or even in your personal business. And you're celebrating those successes. You're memorializing those successes and those accomplishments. You're putting them on some kind of a website, a SharePoint, a Confluence, or whatever web services you use. And you can then go back to that list of accomplishments year after year after year, and you can see that. So you want to make a list of all your accomplishments, celebrate your accomplishments. The best way to celebrate aren't to do all these, fancy things like I mentioned. You can still do them, obviously, things like a holiday party or renting out an entire venue, but it's to just give your honest time and attention in person where possible, even if you have to get on a plane and fly and sit down with your team and just thank them and celebrate all their accomplishments. Make a list, memorialize it, turn it into a memo, into a presentation. And then after you've celebrated all of your accomplishments and you've highlighted all your accomplishments and you sent out newsletters or maybe you do some type of a town hall or an end of year review where the purpose is to just really thank everyone, appreciate everyone. you want to move into, I want to plan for all of the activities that I'm going to deliver, all the things I'm going to work on, all the product features and functions. Once again, if you're a product person, if you're a program person, or if you're like me, managing global implementations at a portfolio level, so that that's circulated, that's out there, that's signed off, and you hit the ground running come the first business day of January. So in order to plan for next year, you look at your list of accomplishments and then you start breaking them down. So after you have your accomplishments, you celebrated, you move into planning. And you want to break your teams down into two very important types. First is your running your business teams, and then next is your building or you're changing business teams. This is where you say, these are the folks that keep the lights on, keep the roof above us, keep us safe and sound, whatever it is they're working on or whatever it is they're building. And versus these are the folks or some percentage of their time that they're working on future enhancements, modernization, research and development, new builds. And once you know who those folks are, or roughly the percentage, if you say, well, they're 75% here, 25% here, or vice versa, then you want to start to break down, what do they cost? If you have a CFO or you have a concept of a financial office in your organization or in your business, you want to then have an average of what these different folks cost based on your different locations. So right now I work with 3 different regions, 10 different locations all around the world. And folks 13 hours away from me have a different cost than folks that maybe sit right next to me in Midtown Manhattan, kind of a thing, and based on their level or where they are in an organization or in your business. So you want to get down to, what are my costs by location? What are my costs by different rankings, if you will? What are my costs by teams? These teams are focused on this versus these teams that are focused on that. And then once you know what your teams cost, then you want to start to look at those accomplishments. So let's say you took your entire infrastructure and migrated that to a cloud-based infrastructure. Let's say you rolled out a really new important feature and function that your clients or stakeholders are excited about. Let's say you expanded your product line for an additional product to augment your original product. What was that? And you want to try and break down and get a rough feel of what those accomplishments cost. Once again, by looking at your people, your teams, your infrastructure, your licensing costs. Once you have that, then you can start to predict, plan, estimate, forecast of what things are going to cost in the future. Once again, starting with what your costs are right now versus what you think they're going to be in the future. And you want to create that plan and map that plan out. So you start off with the end of 2024 and say, what would perfection look like? What can we realistically get done by the end of the year? And then very simply, you're just making a list and plotting that list out by, what do I get done by the end of Q4, the end of Q3, the end of Q2, the end of Q1 for 2024. You want to get that plan in place with a rough estimate of what you things are going to cost, broken down by what I call people and process. Sometimes you hear folks refer to this as labor and non-labor costs. But we talked about your people costs. Your process costs are, what are my infrastructure and support costs? If you're a small business person or a medium-sized business person, what does it cost to, keep this place running? Do I own the building? Am I spending money for rent in the building? If I'm in more of a virtual environment, what does it cost to migrate this application or this product onto a web-based service, a cloud-based service? What am I spending in licensing fees on software or for other things? So just breaking down your costs versus, these are my people costs, these are my process costs, so that you can map out a plan and then have your stakeholders sign off, even if it's a back of the envelope soft sign off, to get agreement on, these are the things we're going to deliver by the end of the year next year, by Q4, Q3, Q2, Q1. And then as we get into next year, all the way down the line, we can start to true up and say, well, we thought we would do this. We estimated we would do this. This is what we actually did. This is what it actually costs based on different factors. So that is very, very important, what you want to do at the end of the year, every year. So proper power planning prevents poor production. If you're noticing you're getting a poor production or a poor product, it's probably because you didn't do the proper prior planning. Okay, so if you're more of an extroverted kind of a person, you're going to really enjoy the celebration aspects, listing the accomplishments, going out and celebrating with your team and your stakeholders, giving them your time and attention, memorializing that list of accomplishments, putting it on a website, socializing it, reminding everyone of all the good work we've done as a small business or as an organization or a product or a program. If you're more like me and you're more introverted, you're going to really get excited about making that list, planning, looking at what did things cost us this year? What do we think they're going to cost us next year? Putting that plan in place. And all throughout the year, if you're like folks like myself, you get excited about working towards that plan, hitting those deliverables, hitting those goals, and crossing them off the list, putting another feather in your cap. Okay. So the two things we talked about today that I'm super excited about for Wake Up Wednesdays is making a list of accomplishments of everything you did year to date and planning for the future for next year. As we get into Q4, you have 2, 3 months to get all this done. Try and get all this done before the holidays start so you give people time to rest and relax, enjoy their loved ones on the holidays. Okay, thank you guys so much. I know I tend to ramble and talk. I'll try and make these shorter, more condensed, but end of year planning is so important. So get that stuff done now. Start working on it now, whether you're extroverted and you love working on that accomplishment list, or you're more introverted like me and you want to work on the plan for the future. You don't have to do it alone. Recruit your key stakeholders, your product cabinet, your executive steerco, your inner circle, and do this together as a team. You're really going to enjoy it, and it's going to pay dividends for years to come. Okay, have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.